Welcome back to ATB Reef. In this video, we'll be talking about the livestock in my 29-gallon Oceanic BioCube. Many of my videos have focused on equipment and system setup. A few viewers have asked about livestock. I'll be pleased to take you through the fish, corals, and inverts that are in this tank. Let's start by introducing you to my three fish. This is Excalibur, the long-nosed hawkfish. Excalibur is the most personable fish I've ever owned. He spends most of the day lounging either on this coral or on this shelf, where he watches the outside of the tank and the comings and goings of my house. He's interactive with me, with people who are in the room, and even watches television. Long-nosed hawkfish need about 30 gallons to thrive, so this tank is about the minimum size possible to have a hawkfish. Unfortunately, he's very aggressive. He's killed or injured 3 different fish that I put in this tank, so he pretty much lives alone except for the 2 fish that could either hold him off or he's totally uninterested in. Long-nosed hawkfish are carnivores. Excalibur's favorite food are ghost shrimp or cull cherry shrimps that I'll drop in from time to time, as well as mysis, and frozen spirulina infused brine shrimp. The other swimming fish in this tank is a blue devil damsel. This one doesn't have a name. I've only had him about a month. Damsels are very aggressive, so this fish is able to hold its own against the long-nosed hawkfish. The only other fish in this tank is a very elusive blue mandarin. The hawkfish and the damsel don't seem to care that it's there, so this has been a fine addition to the tank. Mandarins can be hard to keep, and they need very specific foods. Mine does eat frozen food, although it has to be completely stationary at the bottom. The tank also supports a pretty good pod population. I help support that pod population by feeding phytoplankton twice a week. Next, let's talk about filter feeding invertebrates, the first of which is this Derasa clam. Clams are photosynthetic and need very strong light, but they're also filter feeders. This is part of why I feed phytoplankton. There are 2 purely filter feeders in this tank, including this hard-tubed cocoa worm. Cocoa worms are a type of feather duster, but I like having this one in a SPS tank because of its hard shell. It's a little bit better with some of the cleanup crew and the high flow that I need. The next filter feeder is this non-photosynthetic gorgonian. I took a bit of a flyer on this gorgonian about 6 months ago. It's grown a little bit and I see its polyps out all the time, so I think it might make it. Feeding phytoplankton is an absolute must if you have an NPS gorgonian. There's 2 other inverts to mention quickly, this rock flower anemone. I'll link to a video about it above, as well as this ornamental sponge, which is not doing terribly well at the moment. Now I'll add the orange lens to my camera to filter out the blue light so you can see some of the coral colors. Although very much not a coral, we get a quick look at our coral banded shrimp. His name is Radar. Radar is the blue variety of coral banded shrimp. You can see the blue part of his thorax. He is an absolutely enormous coral banded shrimp, the largest one I've ever seen. He measures close to 9 inches from tip to tip of his antenna. This tank was designed and equipped specifically for SPS corals. It has high flow, high light, and lots of surface area on the rock. I'll link to a video about its equipment above. We'll take a quick look now at some of our cleanup crew. Here is a blue tuxedo urchin. In my view, these are absolutely essential cleanup crew members. This tank has a few snails in it, particularly some red neorites and margarita snails, also a couple of ninja stars. You can see some of them in a video I made about cleanup crews, which I'll link above. The bulk of this tank's cleanup crew is composed of hermit crabs, including these gray legs, as well as several larger and more aggressive types of hermits. I chose them because I wanted the cleanup crew to be able to have cutting power and to maintain around the edges of SPS corals. We'll spend the rest of this video talking about the various corals in this tank. We'll start with some soft corals, which occupy some of the shaded spaces on the rock, like this Ricordea florida mushroom, as well as this Rhodactis mushroom. Mushrooms can move around a little bit to find a spot they like as far as light. Usually it's in a quite shaded spot. Now we'll move on to our stony corals, starting with Montipora. There's a grand total of 9 Montipora species in this tank. We'll begin by talking about German blue Montipora. This is an incredibly hardy piece. I've put this one into some terrible tank conditions over the years. I've always liked German blue Montipora because it has a very classic stick-like look, almost like a cartoon version of what a coral reef or the bottom of the ocean looks like. I frag this frequently and give away or sell pieces for $5 or maybe $10. It can survive in fairly low light, but you don't get this blue sheen unless you put it in a fairly high light condition. It does grow along and next to other types of Montipora, but does not splice with them. Overall, German blue Monty is a really good starter SPS. Our next piece is this Montipora hirsuta. Also an excellent starter SPS. This has a really complex growth pattern and can have small plates as well as branches. It doesn't really branch upward though. This particular strain has a really bright green coloration. It adds a lot. I picked it up for about $5 at a local show. I've never tried to frag this one. It might be really hard to do. Next up is Montipora spongodes. This species grows with almost cactus-like paddles, has a pretty green coloration, but fades a bit to a purple-brown toward the base where it's not touching the light. This is one of the oldest species in the aquarium trade. You can no doubt find a piece, and I highly recommend it. Next up is this bubblegum Montipora digitata. This is probably the piece that I've fragged the most frequently and sold the most often, and you can see why. It's a beautiful, rare coloration of orange with white tips. This color morph is very similar to Sunset Monty, which have yellow growth tips. I have to prune this coral back frequently to keep it from shading the clam below. It clearly likes high light, but it also grows underneath the shade of the rock shelf behind it. I have 2 Montipora capricornis or Monty caps in the tank. This green one grows really rapidly, but has a really attractive purple ring around its growth points. It was already encrusted on a rock that I inherited from a previous tank, so I had to live with its placement. Similarly, this red Monty cap has grown back and actually contacts the back wall now. I'm interested to see what will happen from here, as it might encrust on the back wall. The most prolific Montipora in my tank is this Tubbs Montipora stellata. Tubbs stellata grows several different ways. It encrusts on the rock, it sends up paddles and fingers, and it grows in a massive pattern, which means it makes almost a dome-like structure over the rock. This particular colony is causing problems for me at the moment because it's encroaching on space for other Acropora, and it's very difficult to prune back. This is another really great starter SPS. It's one of the oldest species in the hobby. You should be able to find it at a lot of stores. As you can see, it has a blue base with bright green corallites. Moving on now to the large Acropora on the back of the tank. This is a TSA snosberry. I got this for free at a local frag swap. It's about quadrupled in size in the past 2.5 years that I've had it. It has a pleasing purple to blue coloration. It likes flow and grows right into the flow of my return nozzle. It doesn't really encrust on the rock very much. Next to it is a Cali Tort. Cali Tort is a really old strain in the hobby. It grows very quickly, and it's doing exactly what I needed it to do here, fill up space in the back of the tank. The last large staghorn Acropora is an unknown strain. It has a nice green to blue coloration and these long stringy fingers that come off of it. It clearly likes flow and likes a lot of light. I've noticed that both of my staghorn corals, as well as the Cali Tort, don't encrust very much onto the rock, just enough to keep them upright. The branches of these corals is more thin when they're in high flow. Next to this is an unknown acropora with a bit of a rainbow coloration and almost a light green to yellow base. This coral was featured in my video where I eliminated red bugs in the tank. This coral has a very smooth skin and it got a very bad infestation of red bugs. I'll link to that video above. This Dragon Slayer Acropora tenuis has a tabling pattern. It has a number of colors that come out in different lighting schemes, although it is prone to bleaching, as you can see a bit at the base. Right next to it is an example of TSA's The Fuzz. This coral has really long coralites that come out in low flow. You can see the strings coming off the end of each branch. Under blue light, this gives off much more interesting coloration. Due to its long coralites, this actually prefers low flow. Next up, in a slightly protected position, is my most expensive piece, this Walt Disney tenuis. You can't capture what a Walt Disney looks like on camera. It has a glowing characteristic to it under really all light conditions. It has colors like glowing silver and green and blue that you really can't capture. This one's doing pretty well. It's grown several new growth points and is encrusting on the rock. Hopefully it will continue that pattern, as I put a pretty good investment into this piece. Next to it is a TSA Colt 45, believed to be an Insignis species. Under blues, this shows a much brighter blue coloration. Under whites like this, it really doesn't have much at all. You see our Ninja Star snail next to it encroaching in the picture. The most recently acquired acropora in the collection is this cherry bomb. It's not colored up quite yet, but eventually it will show bright red polyps and a green skin. Zooming out, we can see our largest acropora colony, this PC rainbow. I have to frag this very frequently just to maintain the field of view, and might even consider changing the orientation of the rock it's on. Unfortunately, PC rainbow turn red when they're under high light. If I can put this in a lower light circumstance, you'll see a variety of colors that come out, which you can see a bit of as you look down at the base, which is a little more shaded than farther up in the branches. One drawback is this is a very brittle coral, and pieces break off all the time. The last piece on our name brand row is this Jason Fox solar flare. I got this tiny little nub from a fellow reefer. Here's what it looks like when it grows out as a large colony. You can see why I'm excited about it. Moving to the back piece of lace rock, here is a TSA Bill Murray. This is a beautiful piece under blues. It has almost a pastel coloration with a bunch of different colors in that pastel spectrum. Right next to it, we see a sunset acropora millipora. Millipora can be distinguished by the long coralites that move in the current. They can be temperamental, but this particular one seems quite happy. Perhaps slightly less happy is this millipora. It was sold to me as a Christmas millipora, but I don't see Christmas colors on this under any coloration. This is the lowest light position of an acropora in this tank, so it might prefer a higher light condition. I might try that out if I rearrange some of the rocks. Rounding out the acropora collection is this TSA pineapple juice acro. It has bright green on the tips, which will be interesting as it grows larger. Probably the most massive colony in the tank is this goldenrod anacropora. Yellow can be a hard color to find in the reef hobby, and this brings a big splash of yellow right to the foreground of the tank. It grows very, very quickly, and I have to frag this really every month. Next to it is the SPS coral that I started this journey with, a green goblin anacropora. I've broken up this colony multiple times over the past 2.5 years. This is really interesting because it has a bright green coloration, but only on the facets that directly face the light. And we have a few more oddballs before we wrap up this video. This is a Burning Man Parite. When I bought it, I actually thought it was a burning banana Stylosiniella, but the polyps don't extend. It's pretty clearly a parietes. I haven't seen it grow at all in nearly 3 years. Here is the original plug and the encrusting of a rainbow Montipora. These have more colors to the rainbow when they are growing. This one has kind of grown out. The last rock encrusting coral is this Jason Fox rainbow Stylosiniella. The polyps extend really nicely off this, and it has a number of colors. It's grown about 3 times its original size in about a year and a half. One honorable mention is this helmet fungia plate coral that I've moved back and forth between the LPS and SPS tank. It's currently here in the SPS. The back wall of your tank can also be a place to put corals. I've made a video about this, which I'll link above. I have 3 corals on the back wall of my tank. The first is this Hulk Cyphastria. Cyphastria are a great choice to put on the back wall of your tank. They don't need a lot of light, and they encrust really quickly on really any surface. As an experiment, I decided to take a small piece of this Tyree tricolor Acropora valida and glue it to the back wall of my tank. I have a large colony of this over in the LPS tank. It's slowly attaching, and I think it will probably survive. The last coral on the back wall of the tank is this Meteor Shower Cyphastria. Meteor Shower is a distinctive coral with its blue skin and orange polyps. This is only 4 months of growth, so you can imagine this is going to cover a great deal of the back wall of my tank very shortly. I picked this up from a local reef store for about $20 as the little ball in the middle. That brings us to the end of our tour of the livestock in this BioCube 29-gallon. I want to thank you for watching. If you got value from this video, please consider a like or a subscribe to support the channel. Comment below if you have any of these animals and what your experience has been like. Also happy to answer any questions that might come up. Thanks again for watching, and happy reefing.